The bright blue light filled the big meeting room where Earth's leaders sat waiting. A tall alien creature appeared in the light, looking down at all the humans with angry eyes. His name was Veltar, and he came from far away in space where many different alien races lived together. Weak creatures of the third planet, the alien said in a cold voice that the machines translated so humans could understand. We have watched you and decided you must join us. You said no to our offer. This was a mistake. Captain June sat in the front chair, his old hands resting quietly on his knees. He had been a soldier for many years and always knew this day would come. Next to him, Dr. Hannah pushed her glasses up her nose and tried not to smile too much. The tall alien kept talking. You have 72 days to give up completely. 847 smart alien races agree with us. Your simple technology cannot fight us. We have taken over more than 3,000 planets this same way. Veltar stopped talking and waited. He expected the humans to cry, beg for help, or immediately say they would surrender. All the other planets had done one of these things. But something very different happened that made his four eyes open wide in surprise. Someone started laughing. It was Captain June, making a quiet sound that grew louder and louder. Dr. Hannah started laughing too. Then the man from Japan began to laugh. Soon every person in the big room was laughing so hard the sound bounced off all the walls. The alien's mouth parts clicked together like he was angry. You think dying is funny? Captain June stood up, his smile getting bigger and bigger. Mr. Ambassador, with respect, we have been waiting our whole lives as humans for someone to call us and say exactly what you just said. Waiting. The alien's translation machine seemed confused by this word. Dr. Hannah stood up next to June. Tell me something, Ambassador. In all the planets you have conquered, did you ever find people who spent thousands of years dreaming about fighting in space? People who wrote countless stories about alien wars and made millions of games pretending to fight creatures from other worlds. The alien looked very confused. You got ready to be conquered. We got ready for the biggest challenge anyone could ever give us, June said with bright, excited eyes. And you just brought it right to our door like a present. The alien did not understand why the humans were so happy. On every other planet, people had been scared or tried to hide. These humans looked like children who had just been told they could play their favorite game. Within just a few hours, Earth sent a message that went to every part of the galaxy where aliens lived. The message was not complicated. It showed humans from every country and every type of job, all wearing the same expression that had made Veltar feel worried in the meeting room. They were smiling, laughing, and getting ready for war like they were preparing for the best party ever. In the message, people were loading weapons while singing happy songs. Soldiers were dancing as they put on their fighting gear. Scientists were working on new inventions with big grins on their faces. Even children were drawn pictures of spaceships and aliens, looking excited rather than afraid. The aliens watching these broadcasts felt something they had never experienced before when conquering a planet. Usually, they saw fear, sadness, or desperate attempts to negotiate. Instead, they saw a whole species celebrating like they had just won a lottery. An old general appeared on screen, surrounded by maps and battle plans. But instead of looking worried or serious like military leaders usually did, he was smiling like someone who had waited his entire life for this moment. Dear alien friends, he said in their language, thank you for finally giving us something worth fighting for. We have been practicing for this since we first looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. The camera showed human cities where people were not running away or hiding in underground shelters. Instead, they were having massive street parties, with music and dancing and signs that said things like, finally, and best day ever, and let's show them how it's done. Scientists appeared next, showing off weapons and inventions that should not have existed on such a primitive planet. They explained their creations with the enthusiasm of children showing off their favorite toys, not like people preparing for a desperate last stand. The message showed spaceships that humans had apparently been building in secret for decades, sleek and dangerous-looking vessels that emerged from hidden bases all over the solar system. The pilots climbing into these ships were not grim-faced warriors preparing for likely death. They were laughing and high-fiving each other like athletes about to play the championship game of their lives. Near the end of the broadcast, the camera focused on a group of human children drawing pictures. One little girl held up her artwork, which showed stick figures of humans and aliens fighting in space. I hope the aliens are really strong, she said with a big smile, because if they're too easy to beat, it won't be as much fun. The transmission ended with words written in perfect alien language that every species in the galaxy could understand. But the words were not a plea for mercy or an offer to negotiate. They were not even a threat or a promise of resistance. The message simply said, game on. Across the galaxy, alien military commanders watched this broadcast and felt something they had never experienced in thousands of years of conquering worlds. For the first time, they wondered if they might have made a serious mistake. Only 71 hours were left before the alien deadline, but Earth looked completely different now. What the space creatures thought was panic and fear was actually the biggest military preparation in all of human history. This plan had been growing and waiting for many, many years. Commander Tai floated inside what everyone thought was just a simple rock mining station in space. 2 days ago, it looked like a normal place where workers dug up minerals from asteroids. But now, huge metal doors slid open to show something amazing. Inside was the biggest secret spaceship factory that humans had ever built. Dozens of beautiful, dangerous-looking ships hung in the air like sleeping metal dragons ready to wake up and fight. Lieutenant Eunice stared with her mouth open at all the incredible ships around them. "How long have we been building all of these?" she asked, unable to believe what she was seeing. Commander Tai smiled as he touched the side of the closest spaceship. Its metal was smooth and warm under his hand. "We started building these the day our first radio telescopes heard artificial signals from outer space," he explained. "Every civilian space program, every commercial mining operation, every research station, it was all preparation for this exact moment." The same surprising revelations were happening all over the solar system. On Mars, the big domes that were supposed to help make the planet livable suddenly opened up. Instead of farming equipment inside, there were massive factories making the most advanced weapons humans had ever created. The workers who everyone thought were just trying to grow plants were actually building guns that could destroy entire spaceships. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, the ice mining platforms that had been working for decades suddenly changed. Long, deadly-looking particle cannon arrays extended from structures that had pretended to be simple mining equipment. These weapons could fire beams of pure energy across vast distances in space. Even the asteroid belt, where humans had been mining rocks for valuable metals, revealed its true purpose. All those mining operations connected together to form a huge defense network that had been secretly built over many years. What looked like simple mining equipment was actually a giant web of sensors, weapons, and communication devices that could protect the entire solar system. Back on Earth's surface, Dr. Su worked with incredible speed in a laboratory that officially did not exist anywhere on any government record. This secret lab was buried 3 kilometers deep under the Sahara Desert, where no one would ever think to look for it. Her hands moved quickly across glowing computer displays as she made final changes to humanity's most ambitious and dangerous project. General Wu walked into the underground chamber, looking serious but excited. "What's our status, Doctor?" he asked, watching her work with the complex machines. Dr. Su did not look up from the glowing screens in front of her. Her eyes were focused completely on her work. "The quantum resonance field generators are online and ready," she said while her fingers continued dancing across the controls. "We have successfully turned theoretical physics into weapons. The Confederation thinks we haven't discovered this technology yet." General Wu nodded, but then asked the important question. "And what about the side effects? What could go wrong?" For the first time, Dr. Su stopped working and turned to look at the general. Her expression mixed scientific excitement with something that might have been a little bit of madness. "General, we are about to turn the basic laws of physics into mere suggestions. The side effects are not something we're worried about, they're exactly what we're counting on to win this war." Above ground, the celebration continued across every city on Earth. Millions of humans danced in the streets, sang songs about war and victory that had been written over centuries of dreaming about this day. News networks broadcast continuously, but not with fear or sadness like you might expect. Instead, they showed the kind of excitement people usually felt during the biggest sporting events in the world. The aliens watching these broadcasts found them very disturbing and confusing. In their experience with conquering other planets, primitive species either begged for mercy or went completely silent with terror. But humans were throwing huge parties and live-streaming demonstrations of their weapons like it was the most fun thing they had ever done. Communications Officer HYO worked at her station in a newly revealed command center that had been hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. "Sir," she reported to her commanding officer, "we're receiving very confused transmissions from Confederation scout ships. They're asking their superiors for clarification about human behavioral patterns." Admiral Kang had spent 40 years of his life preparing for this exact conversation. He smiled the same smile that had been terrifying aliens across the galaxy as he activated the response transmitter. "Patch me through to all Confederation frequencies. It's time to have a little chat with our new friends." The transmission went live across the entire galaxy, showing Admiral Kang in his command center. He was surrounded by displays showing Earth's mobilization, but instead of defensive positions designed to protect against attack, every screen showed humans moving with purpose and pure joy. They looked like athletes preparing for the championship game of their entire lives. Confederation forces, Admiral Kang's voice carried across the vast distances of space. Thank you for finally giving us a reason to dust off our old war plans. We have been practicing for this scenario since we first figured out that other intelligent life existed in the universe. You now have 6 to 7 hours to witness what happens when a species that grew up reading war stories finally gets to write their own. The transmission ended with Admiral Kang doing something that would be replayed in alien military academies for many generations to come. He looked directly into the camera and winked at the entire Galactic Confederation, like he was sharing a private joke with old friends. The alien scout fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like a storm of metal and energy. They came out of hyperspace with the confidence of warriors who had never lost a single battle. Fleet Commander Zethkar controlled 200 massive warships, each one carrying enough weapons to turn an entire planet into dust and smoke. Use standard attack formation, Zethkar commanded through the mind link that connected him to all his ship captains. Move straight toward the third planet. Look for any defensive weapons and destroy anything that tries to fight back. The alien commander expected this to be like every other conquest, quick, easy, and boring. But what they discovered completely broke every rule in their military handbook. Captain Eon floated weightlessly in the cockpit of his small fighter ship called the Tenacity. This was the first human starfighter that would officially fight against alien forces. Unlike the huge capital ships that the aliens preferred, human spacecraft were much smaller, much faster, and built with one simple goal: to make space warfare as deadly as possible while still being exciting for the pilots. I can see them, Eon reported to the command center back on Earth. 200 alien ships, all big cruiser-class vessels. They are flying in perfect formation, exactly like our computer simulations predicted they would. We hear you, Tenacity, came Admiral Kang's voice through the radio. All fighter wings, attack when you're ready. Remember, we've been dreaming about this fight since before humans could even fly in space. The human response was not at all what the aliens expected to see. Instead of meeting them head-on with big warships of similar size, Earth sent out swarms of single-pilot fighters that moved through space like schools of hunting sharks. The Confederation's detection systems had trouble tracking targets that seemed to treat three-dimensional space combat as naturally as walking on solid ground. Lieutenant Hune, flying his fighter called Soul's Fury, dove down beneath the alien formation and fired a spread of kinetic projectiles. These were simple metal rods that had been accelerated to almost the speed of light. The beautiful simplicity of these weapons completely confused alien defensive systems that were designed to stop energy beams and guided missiles. How are they moving like that? Zethkar demanded as human fighters wove in and out between his ships like deadly dancers. The humans used the Confederation's own vessels as cover while launching devastating hit-and-run attacks that seemed to come from impossible angles. His tactical officer's tentacles shook with fear as he looked at the incoming data. Sir, they're using gravitational anomalies as acceleration vectors. They're treating our ship's gravity fields like slingshots to go faster. What the aliens could not understand was that humanity had spent hundreds of years perfecting space combat through games, simulations, and pure imagination. Every human pilot had been flying these exact scenarios since they were children, first in video games, then in increasingly realistic training programs that had been disguised as entertainment and fun. Captain Noro, commanding the heavy fighter called Degu's Pride, pulled off a maneuver that should have been completely impossible. She used a micro-jump through folded space to appear directly behind an alien dreadnought without warning. Her ship's main gun, a focused particle beam that drew power from a tiny fusion reactor, cut through the enemy vessel's shields like they were made of paper. How did she just teleport behind us? Zethkar's question was interrupted as 3 more human fighters materialized around his flagship. They had somehow used quantum tunneling to bypass his defensive perimeter entirely. The battle lasted 4 hours of intense fighting. When it finally ended, the Confederation's advance fleet was either completely destroyed or running away in full retreat, while humanity's losses numbered only in the dozens. More importantly, the humans had been broadcasting the entire battle across all radio frequencies, complete with pilot commentary that sounded disturbingly like sports announcers covering their favorite team. And here comes Hune around the dark side of that cruiser, what a beautiful approach angle, and there's the kill shot. That's his 15th confirmed victory today, folks, came Lieutenant Wu's excited voice from the command ship as she provided running commentary for everyone back home listening to the battle. The surviving alien commanders found the human celebration broadcasts more terrifying than their actual weapons. These were not desperate survivors fighting for their lives, they were having the absolute time of their lives and clearly enjoying every moment of the combat. Zethkar's final transmission before escaping into hyperspace was intercepted by human communications equipment. His voice, translated through quantum encoders, carried a sound that the Confederation had never experienced before, pure fear. "Command, this is Scout Fleet 7 reporting," his shaky voice said. "The humans, they're not fighting like a primitive species should fight. They're fighting like they were born specifically for this kind of combat. I request immediate strategic re-evaluation of our approach. These creatures, they actually enjoy fighting in ways that seem impossible." The transmission ended with background audio from the human fleet that chilled alien listeners across the galaxy. It was the sound of pilots laughing with pure joy, cheering their victories, and already making excited plans for their next battle with an enthusiasm that made even experienced alien warriors feel afraid for the first time in their lives. Across the Confederation's territory, military leaders began to realize they might have made a terrible mistake in challenging this strange species called humanity. 6 months had passed since the aliens thought they would quickly conquer Earth, but now their war leaders faced something they had never experienced before. They were losing to a species they had called primitive. The emergency meeting of the War Council happened on the fortress world of Keftar, where military commanders from dozens of different alien races sat together, trying to understand how their plans had gone so terribly wrong. High Strategist Vorthan's glowing skin patches flickered with worry and stress as she looked at the battle reports spread before her. "In 6 months of fighting, we have lost 412 warships, 7 major military bases, and control of 16 star systems that used to be completely secure. The humans have lost much fewer ships and soldiers." The room fell silent as the alien commanders tried to process this impossible information. Never in their thousands of years of conquering planets had they faced such a situation. Meanwhile, General Cheen climbed out of her fighter ship called the Busan's Revenge after completing another incredibly successful attack on an alien supply depot. Her squadron had just finished what military historians would later call the Impossible Run, a dangerous strike deep into enemy territory that destroyed enough supplies to feed an entire invasion fleet for many months. "How did it go, General?" asked Colonel Minute as Cheen took off her helmet. Her hair was wet with sweat and her eyes were bright with the kind of happiness that comes from doing something very difficult very well. "The supply depot is completely gone, along with the 3 fleets that were defending it," Cheen said with a satisfied smile as she looked at the kill markers painted on her fighter's hull. "The aliens are still using the same predictable attack formations. It's like they've never fought anyone who actually wanted to be in the battle." This was the thing that continued to puzzle alien military experts completely. In their experience, warfare was always about staying alive, controlling territory, or getting resources. The idea of a species that fought with real excitement, that treated each battle as a chance to test themselves against strong opponents, was completely foreign to everything they understood about war. Back on Earth, Dr. Jin stood in front of a holographic computer display in humanity's main research facility. The entire laboratory had been moved to a mobile space station that could relocate whenever the aliens got too close to their location. His newest project would have been considered completely impossible by alien scientists, a weapon that used artificial black holes as bullets. "The wonderful thing about fighting a technologically advanced enemy," Jin explained to his research team with obvious excitement, "is that they think certain things cannot be done. They have never met a species crazy enough to try turning tiny black holes into weapons." Research Assistant Day looked worried as he watched the holographic displays showing the weapon's design. "Sir, are we completely sure this won't accidentally destroy our entire solar system?" Dr. Jin's smile was the same expression that had been making aliens afraid for the past 6 months. "The day we stop risking everything to achieve victory is the day we become just another conquered species like all the others." The weapon, which the research team nicknamed the Soul Surprise, was successfully tested on an abandoned alien military outpost. The crater it created was so massive that it could be seen clearly from several different star systems. What truly disturbed the alien confederation, however, was not humanity's weapons or fighting tactics, it was how quickly humans learn new things. Every single battle provided humans with new information, new techniques, and new ways to turn alien advantages against them. The species that had been dismissed as primitive was adapting and improving faster than the Confederation could develop ways to stop them. Commander Un's stealth ship, called the Invisible Soul, had just completed a spy mission that proved this point perfectly. She had spent 3 entire weeks sneaking around inside a major alien naval base, not to destroy it, but to study their tactics and technology up close without being detected. Command, this is Invisible Soul reporting, Un said as her ship slipped away from the alien base completely unnoticed. I have downloaded their entire tactical database from their main computers. It turns out they have been using exactly the same strategies for the last 1,000 years. They have literally never had to change or adapt to anything. The implications of this discovery were absolutely staggering. Humanity was fighting an enemy with better technology and far more ships, but they were fighting creatures who had never experienced a real challenge in their entire existence. The Confederation had become soft and predictable through thousands of years of easy conquests, while humanity had spent their entire history preparing for war through constant conflict with themselves. Admiral Kang reviewed the latest intelligence reports in his command center, which had also been moved to a mobile fortress that could outrun most alien pursuit ships. The information painted a picture that would have seemed impossible just 1 year ago. Humanity was actually winning this war. Sir, reported Intelligence Officer Juan with barely contained excitement, alien morale is collapsing across multiple sectors of their territory. They are desperately requesting reinforcements from their home worlds that have not seen real combat in hundreds of years. And how did they respond to our latest diplomatic message? Admiral Kang asked with curiosity. Officer Juan's expression mixed professional satisfaction with barely hidden amusement. They are requesting a ceasefire so they can discuss terms with us. Apparently, our offer to teach them proper warfare techniques in exchange for their complete surrender has been taken seriously by several of their faction leaders. Admiral Kang stood up and walked to the large window that showed the stars beyond their ship. Somewhere out there, the most technologically advanced coalition in the entire galaxy was slowly learning what humans had always known. Sometimes the most important weapon in warfare is not technology or superior numbers, but simply the willingness to smile when facing impossible odds and fight like it is exactly what you were born to do. The final battle happened in the Kepler 442 star system, where the alien confederation had brought together the biggest fleet in the history of the galaxy. Over 10,000 warships from every member species filled the space around the star, commanded by their smartest military leaders and equipped with weapons powerful enough to break entire planets into pieces. They had come to destroy the human threat once and for all. What they found waiting for them would completely change how warfare was understood across the entire galaxy. Fleet Admiral J stood on the control bridge of the ESF Terra's Will, humanity's first and only super dreadnought warship. The massive vessel had been built in complete secrecy over the past year, using every piece of alien technology that humans had captured, studied, and made even better than the original designs. Sir, reported Communications Officer Kyung, his voice tight with excitement and nervousness, the Confederation fleet is coming out of hyperspace right now. The count is, it's over 10,000 ships, sir. Admiral J smiled the same smile that had been making aliens afraid for more than a year. Perfect. Send a signal to all human vessels. It's time to show the galaxy what we've really been building all this time. The human response fleet had only 300 ships, which seemed like nothing compared to the massive alien armada. But as the human vessels emerged from their hiding places behind planets and asteroid fields, the Confederation fleet commanders suddenly realized they had made a terrible mistake in understanding their enemy. Captain Sion, commanding the heavy cruiser called Inchin's Fury, watched as the enemy fleet arranged itself in the same predictable formations they had been using for hundreds of years. All ships, this is Captain Sion. Execute Protocol Omega on my command. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth today, we're fighting to show the entire galaxy what real warfare looks like. The battle began with what the Confederation thought would be humanity's final, desperate attack before being completely destroyed. Instead, they witnessed something that would be studied in military schools for thousands of years, a species that had turned warfare into a beautiful art form. Human ships moved together with coordination that seemed almost like mine-reading, with each vessel supporting the others in patterns that made them as effective as possible while keeping their losses as small as possible. They used gravity wells, electromagnetic fields, and even quantum uncertainty as weapons. Most importantly, they fought with a joy and creativity that no Confederation force had ever seen before. Colonel Yun, piloting the experimental fighter called Soul's Lightning, performed a maneuver that broke several known laws of physics by using controlled quantum tunneling to phase directly through enemy shields like they were not even there. Her weapons fired rounds that existed in multiple dimensions at the same time, tearing through alien ship hulls that were designed to withstand normal attacks. But the real surprise came when Admiral J activated humanity's ultimate weapon. It was not a device of destruction, but a transmission that broadcast across every communication channel in the galaxy. Confederation forces, Admiral J's voice carried to every ship in the enemy fleet. For over a year, you have been fighting us like we are just another primitive species to be conquered. You have completely failed to understand what we actually are. The transmission included real-time displays showing human forces not just defeating the massive Confederation fleet, but doing so while taking very few losses and clearly having the time of their lives doing it. We are not a species that fights just to survive, Admiral J continued as human ships carved through alien formations with precision that looked like a deadly dance. We are a species that fights because we love the challenge. Every strategy you have used against us, we have already defeated in our games and simulations. Every weapon you have brought to this battle, we have already imagined and prepared countermeasures for. Commander HYO, leading a squadron of stealth bombers, completed her attack run on the main Confederation command ship using weapons that adapted their attack patterns in real time using artificial intelligence. As the massive alien vessel broke apart and exploded, its destruction was broadcast across the galaxy with commentary that sounded like excited sports announcers. "And that's the command ship going down," came Lieutenant Choi's enthusiastic voice from the communications vessel. "What a beautiful approach by Commander Hyo's squadron, using the debris field for perfect cover and timing the strike exactly right with the main fleet's diversion tactics. That's what we call a Soul Special, folks." The battle lasted 8 long hours of intense fighting. When it finally ended, the Confederation's Grand Fleet was either completely destroyed, captured by human forces, or running away in full retreat. More importantly, the entire engagement had been broadcast live across the galaxy, showing every alien species exactly what happened when someone was foolish enough to challenge humanity to their favorite activity. High Strategist Vorthan, broadcasting from her retreating command ship, sent the transmission that would officially end the war. "All Confederation forces, this is High Command speaking. Stop all fighting against human forces immediately. We formally request to discuss surrender terms." The response came not from Earth's military commanders, but from the planet itself, a global celebration that could actually be seen from space, with billions of humans partying like they had just won the greatest game ever played in the history of the universe. Admiral J's final transmission to the galaxy was simple and direct. "To all species who witnessed this conflict, Earth extends a friendly invitation. We have just demonstrated what warfare can become when it is treated as the ultimate challenge rather than simple conquest. If you are interested in learning what your civilization can achieve when it stops being afraid of a real fight, you know exactly where to find us." The transmission ended with something that would become humanity's signature sound across the galaxy, an entire species laughing with pure joy, already planning what incredible challenges they would take on next.